this is Blackjack Mark, and welcome to the very first episode ever of Da Gun Guy from our brand new studio. By the way, my real name is not Blackjack Mark. My parents didn't do that to me. That's my SAS handle, which for those of you who know about Single Action Shooting Society and cowboy action, that's what I go by there. So for our very first episode, it was kind of hard to decide exactly what gun we were going to do, but I wanted to go with a gun that I really like, and the winner was the Ruger SR22. By the way, the gun's been cleared and checked. It is empty and there is no 22 long rifle anywhere to be found in this particular place. So like and subscribe, and we're gonna go ahead and let you know about this gun. All right, so let's take a look at the Ruger. This is my gun. It's about 10 years old, so it's still in pretty good shape all in all. And we'll check. As you can see, it's chamber clear. Now, the thing that you noticed, or you might have noticed when we checked the chamber, is that the hammer did not come back. So this is a hammer fire. The reason is, on this particular model, there's a disconnect, a chamber disconnect, which means this gun will not fire or do anything while there's not a magazine in it. Okay, so there's a magazine disconnect. So what we'll do is we'll put this in. The gun comes with two 10-round magazines, so it does have a capacity of 10 rounds, and it shoots in 22 long rifle. Now what you might notice is the bottom is polymer, the top is a nice aluminum, and again, for 10 years old, it's held up pretty well. What's a little bit different on this particular model is that it has a manual safety, but the safety also acts as a decocker. So on most guns, you're gonna flick down to fire, right? On this particular model, if you push down, you're actually in a safe mode. So you have to push up to be on fire rather. So you'll push up to fire the gun. If you push down on this particular model, and you can see it decocks it. So this Ruger is a double single. What that means is that you can fire it one of two ways. You can fire it with well, you can't fire it if it's safety's on. So again, it takes a little bit of practice with this gun if you're planning on using it or carrying it. And we'll talk about carrying a 22 later on. But now when it's hot, if you press this, you get a pretty long pull, and then it would switch into a single after that. So what we'll do, as long as we're at it, let's check and see what kind of trigger pull it gets. All right, so we're going to check the trigger on both the double and the single action. So first we're going to try the double, and what we're going to do is lift it up a little bit, and comes in at 7.62 on that. Do it one more time. 7.5. So that's the double action on this particular gun. Now we'll go to single action, and we were getting really nice numbers, competition type trigger, and we're going to go, and it is going to be, look at that. We'll try that again. That was 1.1. I'm pretty sure it's not right. And we go pop. There we go. 2.6 on that one. .2. So the single action is still pretty light all in all. The other thing that we didn't go over is trigger creep. So part of what you do when you're staging, or at least what I do when I'm staging and I'm shooting target, is I want to make sure that I bring the trigger all the way back to right before the wall, right before it's going to break. So if you look at this, we'll take up the slack, and there's just, you see that? Just a hair, a creep before it breaks, not much at all. So that's really, really nice for this particular gun. Now, what some of you may be freaking out about right now is you're going, oh my God, this guy is dry firing a 22 rimfire over and over and over again. He's ruining his gun. I've always heard that you're not supposed to dry fire a 22. However, the Ruger manual for this particular gun says that you can. And part of me was kind of curious as to why you're not supposed to dry fire a 22. You can dry fire a center fire pistol as much as you want, and there are certain restrictions depending on what kind of hammer it is, but for the most part, modern center fire pistols, you can dry fire as much as you want. The reason being that you're not supposed to, on older rim fires, dry fire is because when the firing pin comes forward, it actually hits the corner of the gun chamber where the bullet would normally stop it. So you're actually chewing up your chamber when you do that. This particular gun stops the firing pin from getting that far. Now, one of the other things that you can do, and probably honestly I should have probably done that with this gun, is you can use snap caps. And what these do, they're just fake bullets, and you can pop them in, and they will protect the chamber regardless. So ironically, you know, once I saw that this gun was allowed to dry fire, I went and I looked at a Henry rifle, which was a 22, assuming that obviously if this little Ruger was allowed to dry fire, the Henry would be, and the Henry actually said you can't dry fire that particular lever action 22. So always check the owner's manual, but that is the reason that I am dry firing this gun, so I am not trying to destroy it. Like I said, it's been in the family a long time, so we want to take care of it. Anyhow, so the gun itself is about 6.4 inches overall in length. The height, which is from here to here, and I'm guessing that's without the pinky rail, is 4.9 inches. And the width on this particular gun, I believe, is just a hair under an inch. And it weighs in at 17.5 ounces. So it feels really nice in the hand, though. It feels like you're actually holding a gun as opposed to some of the littler 22s where you don't feel like that. The ergonomics on the gun are great, basically. Now, the slide release is right there, and it pops out pretty easy. So it does eject as opposed to just fall. And that's also nice if you're switching really quickly between them. So as I said, it comes with two 10-round magazines. Now, the nice thing about these, especially because you're handling small, bullets when you put it in, is it comes with a slide for your thumb, so it kind of saves your fingers as you're loading up the mags. One other thing, now this is the larger handle that I have on it. You can actually swap out the handles on this particular 22, which is, as far as I know, there aren't a lot of 22s that you can do that on. But take this one off real quick for you. And you could replace that. So it comes with a smaller grip. I just happen to like this one. And it goes on pretty easily again. Now there's also a Picatinny rail. So if you wanted to put a laser or flashlight on this gun, you could. Let's take a peek at the sights. So you have really nice sights on this particular gun. I'm going to move this over here, see if I can line it up for you. So you have really nice 3-dot sights. I like them, and they work really well for me. One of the other things I forgot to mention was that this is an ambidextrous gun. So for all you weirdo lefties out there, you can use this gun just as well. So that's a joke, by the way. Nobody hurt me. Safety and magazine release are on both sides. Okay, so that's a nice feature for this as well. It doesn't take any gunsmithing to make it ambidextrous. All right, so this gun is pretty dirty because I took it out to the range, as you saw, and I'm getting ready to qualify with this gun for my CCW. So for those of you who are lucky enough to live in a constitutional carry state, you don't have to worry about this. And for those of us unlucky enough to live in Illinois, we have to qualify so that we can exercise our constitutional rights. And part of what we have to do outside of just taking a class is we have to qualify at 5, 7, and 10 yards and make sure that we hit 7 out of 10 in what's a B27 target. This is the gun that I like to use for that. One of the reasons is because of the low recoil, and it's just easy and fun to shoot. And it's also one of the easiest guns that I've ever had to take down and clean. So you don't have to futz around with lining up the slide, etc. All you have to do is, if you see right here, there is one little lever underneath the trigger guard, and you can dig your fingernail in there, and you just want to make sure that you get it at 90 degrees, okay? Then simply take the slide it back, up, and you can take it right out. And there you have it, 4 parts, pretty simple, right? The rod, spring, it is a fixed barrel, which also helps the accuracy, and then the slide. Like you can see, this one's pretty dirty. So what I like to do is, and I know there are all-in-one solutions, but I prefer to use hops, bore cleaner, and some oil when I need it. So these are new. I used to use the old cotton, oh my God, I can't even remember what do you call them?
Q-tips.
Q-tips. The Q-tips for my ears on my gun, but apparently you're not supposed to do that because it leaves lint. So these are lint-free Q-tips. So soak it in some solution. Let's start with the slide. Get a bunch of cleaner going. We're just gonna let this soak in for a bit. So I always like to take my hoppies and let it soak in. Give it a good cleaning. Now you can use, the Q-tips if you like. Another way that, I can do it, or I've done it in the past, is just take and get a good bit on it, and again, just go over all the areas that you need to get clean. So make sure you get the barrel, feeder ramp, really important. Let that soak quite a bit. Get this area back here. Again, we're just going to let all this soak up. And then same, we can go ahead and remove that. We want the big end of the spring goes again to the small end of the rod, small end of the spring to the big end of the rod. So you just want to remember that. But just give that a good coating. And same with that. And again, because this gun is really pretty dirty, we're going to go in, soak that up even more. You can just see a lot of the gunpowder coming off that as we do this. Right. Again, we're going to get into the magazine well. Let that work its way. Going to take this Q-tip, lint-free Q-tip, so they can charge more. Make sure we get that feeder ramp nice and clean, right? So you can see that it's there. Just gonna let that soak, and we'll start wiping it down. Now, in regard to cleaning the bore, we're gonna get that a good bit of this as well. Okay, go through. Now, some people think you have to go only the way the bullet goes. Some people say you don't have to. You know, if you have a revolver, you're going to have a bit of a time trying to go with the way that the bullet goes. So you do whatever you'd like, but you know, based on the research that I've seen, none of the brushes or bore snakes are going to do much harm. So we're going to actually go take another patch, and we're going to put this in there. We are going to soak this really good. And we are going to try to get that through. There we go. And make a big mess while we're doing it. And then go in here, just kind of clean that up as well. All right. So, getting that all over, and you can see it's already markedly better than when we started. And again, you know, the feeder ramp, you really want to get as much of the residue done as you can. I'll wipe that up. And then toothbrush. Oh, guess we got our lint-free. We should have got lint-free patches too. Just get in there, give it a nice scrub so that we get back. All right, so we're going to let that sit for a bit. Going to come over here, give this a quick scrub as well. You can see that's pretty dirty up front, right? Now this is obviously not going to fit in that smaller hole. So we're going to go back, do this, get that as clean as possible. You want to check these rails, you know, because that's part of where the gun's sliding. And you can see where the silver is, right? That's basically where the gun is rubbing. So when we're done with this, we're going to go ahead and we're going to lubricate that area. Not going to use a ton of lubrication because the lube will also go ahead and attract dirt, right? And we want to make sure that we get this part pretty nice and clean, right? This is where the shooting is done. And you don't really want to do this part of the gun, or at least I've been told, this way when you've got the solvents, because you don't want stuff going down into where your firing pin is. All right, do a little more here. Now I've also been told that you can be pretty generous with the solvent because it will evaporate, as opposed to, you know, the lubricant. The lubricant is really there to preserve the gun if it's sitting in the safe for a while. Okay. All right, so now we got that. We can take clean patch. Let's see if we're getting everything done. See, that's where the extractor is. It's better. Not perfect, but it's better. All right. And if you really wanted to get into the little grooves and you had a pick, you can go ahead and do that as well. All right, but you can tell that's a lot better than when we started, okay? Now, in regard to getting the bore clean, I personally like a bore snake. Now, there's another quick little tip that I wish someone would have told me a long time ago. So bore snakes come in boxes that tell you what caliber the bore snake is. However, all bore snakes, particularly these ones, look alike. So if you don't put them back in the original box, you will be guessing as to what caliber your bore snake is, and it'll make it much harder if you're using a bigger caliber and a smaller caliber. So hint, or my tip is, make sure that you always keep the package that it came in. We already went ahead and put some solvent on this, so we're just going to drop it in, try and feed it as best we can. Okay, and whoop, a little more. There's the other end of it, and just kind of pull it through, and that'll clean that out. We'll do that one more time. Oh, look how nice and clean that is. There we go. All right. That's probably good enough. So we got this part really nice and clean. Bore looks pretty clean. Take that off. All right, give this a nice wipe. You can get in here. Let's take one of these, see if we got our rails. Oh, those are dirty. All right, so we're gonna use another patch. Get in here, get our rails nice and clean. You know, I used to hate cleaning guns, really did. Now I kind of enjoy it. It lets me learn a little bit more about them and how they function. So I don't know if this is the right way to clean, by the way. It's just the way I do it. So if you have any opinions or that can be said in a polite company about how I'm doing it, you feel free. Let us know in the comments. Okay, so that's pretty nice. Now what I like to do after that is I just take a rag and I'm going to wipe down the mechanisms. You know, get any of the extra solvent off. Let's get rid of that patch too. And clean this up a little bit. Now, you know what we didn't do, although the outside of this is looking pretty good. We can just gonna give this a quick once over and a polish just to make sure it stays pretty. Okay. And now we can start the reassembly. In the reassembly, we're going to use some good old-fashioned lube. Not too much, though. So what I like to do, take one of these clean patches, if I can get to it, just put a drop, maybe two. That's it. Go over the spring and just curl the spring through. Okay. Don't want to use too much because, again, you know, you're going to collect dirt. Just give this a quick wipe with it. Now you could, and I've seen people, they actually just put drops on the actual parts. What I personally rather do is I take a clean, lint-free Q-tip, put a little lube on it. I'm just going to touch the areas where we know we got some grinding going on. Okay, and I'm going to do the rails because we know we got contact there. Just put one quick little dollop there. Same here. And just going to put a little dollop here and here. And we should be good. Now remember, little end to the big end to the little end. I think it's like that. There we go. It clicked. I don't know if you heard the click. So it comes back, click, and you push it down, and then it slides into place. Pretty easy after 4 or 5 minutes of not so easy. So we'll try this one more time. So you get the guide rod in the hole. Line this up in theory. Oop. There we go. Bring it back. You'll hear a click, and you let it slide into place. Close the latch, and oh, we forgot about the magazine disconnect. We check, and it should be good. Okay, so the only part, well, not the only part, one of the parts that we didn't cover too well is actually oil in the barrel. So if you'd like, what you can do when you're oiling the other parts of the gun is you can put just a hair in the barrel to preserve it. That's it. Other than that, the gun's looking much better. If you can see the feeder ramp now, internal workings, they're just super clean. So this gun should run pretty well, and hoping it does. I want to thank everyone who made it this far in the video, even if you fast forwarded through some of the parts just to get to what you wanted to hear. Anyhow, our rating of the Ruger SR22 is 5 out of 5 bullseyes. That means get one if you don't have one. You need one. Maybe you just want one. Maybe you just kind of want one, but it's a great gun. See you next time.